Hare Krishna and welcome back to the Sriman Narayaneeyam sessions. So today let's do chapter 33 of the Sriman Narayaneeyam, which is the story of King Ambareesha, the great devotee King Ambareesha. Okay. Now chapters 4 and 5 of canto 9 of the Srimad Bhagavatam is summarized here in this chapter. As usual, let's read the first shloka, the first verse. वैवस्वताख्यमनुपुत्र न भागजाता नाभागनामकनरेन्द्रसुतोऽम्बरीश सप्तार्णवावृतमहीदयितोऽपि रेमे त्वल्सङ्गिषु त्वयि च मग्नमनः सदैव. Nabhaga, the son of Vaivasvata Manu, had a son named Nabhaga, and Nabhaga had a son named Ambareesha, who was born to rule the earth surrounded by the 7 oceans. So, Ambareesha was the great grandson of Vaivasvata Manu. We saw in the last session that Vaivasvata Manu was sage Satyavrata in the previous Manvantara. We have learnt earlier that there are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and the period of reign of each Manu is known as a Manvantara. So our Vaivasvata Manu was sage Satyavrata in the 6th Manvantara, the previous Manvantara, and the Lord, being pleased with him, pleased with his devotion, installed him as the next Manu. That is, now we are the 7th Manvantara of the current day of Brahma. Okay. Now, being pleased with Ambareesha, King Ambareesha, was always involved in serving the Lord and his devotees. He found pleasure in serving the devotees of the Lord and the Lord himself. Now, being pleased with his services, the Lord installed his 1,000-pointed disc, the Sudarshana Chakra, to protect Ambareesha at all times. Okay. Now, once King Ambareesha, along with his pious wife and others, went to Madhuvana on the banks of the river Yamuna to perform the Dwadashi rites for a year. Dwadashi is the day following Ekadashi. Vaishnavas or devotees of the Lord fast on Ekadashi, and the fast is broken on the next day, that is on Dwadashi day, at a certain period of time known as the Parana. Okay. Now, once it so happened that sage Durvasa, who is well known for his anger, visited King Ambareesha at Madhuvana on Dwadashi day. Now the sage, the King Ambareesha welcomed the sage warmly and asked him to have prasadam, have food with him and break the Ekadashi fast, which the sage readily agreed. And the sage said that he would take bath in the Yamuna and then come soon. Now the sage leisurely goes to the Yamuna to take bath and perform his obligatory duties. Now the Parana time was running out, and King Ambareesha was a bit worried. He was anxious. So what he did was he took a sip of water just to break the fast, and then he thought that he would wait for the sage to come back, after which they could have prasadam, have food together. But then the sage, with his divine insight, saw what had happened. He got very angry that Ambareesha did not wait for him to break the fast. So what he did was he plucked a hair from his matted locks and created an evil spirit known as Kritya, who ran towards Ambareesha to attack him. Okay, and fire was emanating from the mouth of Kritya. Now, seeing that the Lord's devotee was in danger, the Sudarshana Chakra, which was employed by the Lord to protect Ambareesha, charged towards Kritya and destroyed her. He then ran after the sage Durvasa. Durvasa, out of fear, fled for his life. He ran through all the 3 worlds, but wherever he went, he could see only this Sudarshana Chakra. Finally, he reached the abode of Lord Brahma and fell at his feet and asked for help. But Brahma dismissed him, saying that no one could overcome the wheel of time. And then Ambareesha ran to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva too dismissed him, saying the same thing. Finally, he goes to Vaikuntha, to Lord Vishnu's abode, and falls at Lord Vishnu's feet. Lord Vishnu says, O Rishi, O sage, I am only Aham Bhakta Dasa. I am a servant of my devotee. Nanu Bhakta Dasa, I am a servant of my devotee, and I cannot do anything about it. You go back to Ambareesha and ask for forgiveness. And he tells him, knowledge and austerity only when combined with humility will be respected. And there is a beautiful shloka in the Srimad Bhagavatam pertaining to this, where the Lord tells sage Durvasa, aham bhakta paradhino hyaswatantra ivadvija sadhuvir grasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta jana priyaha. The Lord tells sage Durvasa, aham bhakta paradhino. I am not independent. I am controlled by my devotees. Yes, swatantra ivadvija. I am not independent. Sadhuvir grasta hridayo. My devotees have tied me up in their hearts. What to talk of my devotees? Even my devotees are very dear to me. So all that you can do is go back to King Ambareesha and ask for forgiveness. And then King Ambari and Sage Durvasa runs back to King Ambareesha and falls at his feet. King Ambareesha, out of all humility, moves backward and moves his feet backwards. And seeing that that the Lord's devotee was now out of danger, the Sudarshana Chakra retires. Now the sage was all praises for Ambareesha, for his devotion and the kindness shown to him in spite of being wronged. Okay, and the king he said, and he praises all the devotees of the Lord. The sage says, what is impossible? All glory is to the devotees of the Lord. What is impossible for them? What is impossible for the servants of the Lord? By the very hearing of the Lord's holy name, one is purified. Okay, and the king waited for the sage to return. The king did not take food for 1 whole year. He waited for the sage to return and fed him sumptuously. And after that, only King Ambareesha took food himself. Okay, now after this incident, the king became more firmly devoted to the Lord, and then finally he attains the Lord's abode. And this chapter and the poet Sri Melpattur Narayana Bhattatiripad winds up this chapter saying, O Lord who resides here in Guruvayur, may thou protect me. Okay, so here we have seen the greatness of the devotees of the Lord. The Lord has placed his devotees on a much higher pedestal than himself, and the devotees are more merciful than the Lord himself, and therefore we should always respect the devotees of the Lord. The Padma Purana mentions 10 offenses. You might be doing all sadhanas, you might be chanting the names of the Lord, everything you might be doing, but then there are certain offenses that you have to avoid while doing your sadhana or while chanting the holy name of the Lord. And the first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life in spreading the holy name of the Lord. Okay, so the Lord will not take any offense against his devotees. And even in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, the Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, one who preaches this message to others is the most dearest to me. There is no one who is more dearer than him to me, nor is there ever going to be one. Okay, so that is the greatness of devotees of the Lord. And we'll stop here. The next two chapters, 34 and 35, together form a summary of the Ramayana. We'll see that later in the coming sessions. Let's stop here by offering our obeisances unto the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas, unto the feet of all the devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnava vrind ki jai.